Yo, it's me, it's the SEOTT, and welcome to Throwback Thursdays, where I take a look at a 90s film and give it a review. And today, finally, I'm taking a look at Good Burger from 1998, starring Kenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell, and directed by Brian Robbins. Okay, so I grew up in the 90s. That was very much the Nickelodeon era. Yes, Nickelodeon is still airing stuff to this day that I watch with my son and sometimes by myself because I enjoy it. You know, you enjoy a show, you should better watch it. But back in my day, you had a string of shows that are considered now classic Nickelodeon. You had Rugrats, Hey Dude, Kenan and Kel, The Amanda Show, the Nick Cannon Show, despite the fact that it didn't last that long, Space Cases, Animorphs, Double Dare, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Get the Picture, Finders Keepers, what else can I do? Muppet Babies, for God's sake. Classic Nickelodeon. And of course, Roundhouse, Clarissa Explains It All, Adventures of Pete and Pete. I can go on forever. But the one show that I, to this day, could say is my favorite Nickelodeon show was All That. One of Nickelodeon's, if not, probably its longest running live action show, I should say. Because it lasted for 6 seasons from 1994 to 2000 before it was stopped, and then for 1 year it was off the air. In 2002, they brought in a new cast, and that ran from 2002 to 2005. They even celebrated a 10th anniversary special, bringing back a bunch of the cast members. And then, in 2019, they brought it back again. Put some new cast members for a new generation, which my son and I like to watch. I watch it on my own sometimes too. It's alright, but I'm going to mention this here because I don't know if I ever do a new review on it. They bring back old characters, but what I don't like, and see, this was the thing with when they had the new cast, a couple of times some of the older cast members would come back. I think Nick Cannon, Kenan Thompson, and Amanda Bynes came back for the second run, just for guest appearance, and they reprised their roles. Here, you have former cast members reprising their roles, but they're using this opportunity to build new characters, and they're piggybacking off of the original characters, and I don't think that's right. Like, here's a for instance for you. I think it's the only one so far that's done it, but you have Detective Dan, right? I'm Detective Dan. They decided to give him a daughter named Detective Ann. And even a dog named Detective Stan. But I'm not a big fan of this. I'm not saying I don't like it, but I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of taking a beloved character like Detective Dan and then saying, oh, because it's a new generation, we're going to build sorry. I had to go something I was saying. We're going to build off that character, piggyback and create a new character to build on that character's popularity. I don't like that. Now, one thing you can sit there and say, this is not all that review, but one thing you can sit there and say is, oh, what about Vital Information? There's been 4 people who did that. That's different. They had to cast different people in it due to cast leaving. Laura Van Denberg did it in the first 4 seasons. After she left at the end of season 4, Danny temporarily did it for the rest of the main run. First season is 5 and 6. And they didn't have Vital Information in the revived series until the season 10. And that's because they were starting to do original stuff. And that worked pretty good. But as the ratings declined, they brought back old sketches, like Good Burger without Kel Mitchell, and then Vital Information Season 10. Now, Good Burger. Let's get to that, because that's what this review is supposed to be about, right? So, Good Burger is probably one of the most well-known sketches. There was Super Dude and Ear Boy and all those big ones. Vital Information and Coach Cretin. But so they made a movie out of it, and it had the series creators on it: Brian Robbins, Mike Tolan. They were in on it. Both Keenan and Kel were in it. And the complaint I've heard is that Kel wasn't in Keenan wasn't in the Good Burger sketches. Why is he in the movie? Technically, he was in the Good Burger sketches, not as the character of Dexter Reed, as portrayed in this film, but he was the character of Lester Oaks, construction worker. That was the main character. Lester Oaks, construction worker, was in a lot of different sketches, but he appeared in quite a few Good Burger sketches. And Josh Server, see, they complain about Kenan Thompson, but not Josh Server. And for some people who say, he's not that much popular cast member, but you got to realize Josh Server was the only original cast member to stay for all 6 original seasons. Season 1 and Season 6 before the recast. He was the only one left by Season 6 from the original cast. And that's the truth. And he's in this. He plays Fizz, or Fi, is a short little nickname. And he was also in Good Burger sketches, though, as Bernie Kibitz, who was an old man who was apparently over 100 years old. He also in his own sketches, Bernie Kibitz sketches. But yeah, and I think he also played like just a regular teenager too in some sketches. But yeah, he plays Fizz. He's kind of background character. We actually got some other well-known actors. There's Ron Lester, who was in Varsity Blues and None Other Teen Movie, playing the same character basically, just a spoof of him. And Abe Vigoda. Yep. Abe Vigoda is in this. And yes, I know he was in The Godfather, but Abe Vigoda. And he's the funniest thing in this movie. Someone take me to a hospital, I think I broke my ass. The first time I heard that line watching this, I was like, oh. Now, I didn't watch this movie when it first came out in 1998. It wasn't until like the mid-2000s when it was on one of the cable channels that I was sitting there watching this. And it wasn't, so I was a teenager, right? Not a teenager, mid-2000s, 2003, close to a teenager, maybe a teenager, early teenagers, when I first watched this. And it wasn't the fact that there was cursing. It's a PG film, I believe. Yeah, it's a PG film. But it's a Nickelodeon movie. And I've never, I think what they did, because like Dan Schneider and the people responsible for, all that and stuff, they would try to fit adult jokes. More so in the later shows, like Victorious and iCarly and Sam and Cat. Squeeze in some adult jokes the kids wouldn't get. And I think this was their attempt at just, appealing to the adult. I think I broke my ass. Because if there's one character in the film that would say that, it's the curmudgeon old dude. Right? Another I like is when they get the Ed's Good Sauce and they dip it in the fries and they got everyone there eating it. He says, makes me glad I'm not dead. And what's another one? Oh, after they get back to the movie, after the big first part of the climax there, the chase, he goes in and he says, I need a hot jacuzzi. So what's the story? Well, to be honest, how would you make a movie like this? Obviously, you're starting to write down, if you're a writer of this movie and you're starting to write the story, and you try to base it around Ed, how do you do that? Because Ed, in all the sketches, was the idiot. You can write the sketches around Ed because it's Ed doing stupid things for like a 5-minute sketch. But for a 95-minute film, sorry I had to read it, for a 95-minute film, Ed doing stupid stuff constantly for 95 minutes is going to get old. And you have to have a story. There's not really a story with Ed doing stupid stuff. You can't just have constantly 95 minutes of people going in and out of Good Burger like they do in the sketches. You have to have a story. So that's why the character of Dexter Reed comes in handy. That gives us our story. And the story is that Dexter Reed he has borrowed his mom's car without permission while she is away on a business trip in New York. And so he has taken his mom's very expensive red car, I don't remember what kind of car it was, and he and his friend Jake go for a drive after class, after school. And because Ed roller skates in front of him, just cuts him off in traffic, he ends up having a car accident with his teacher, Mr. Weed, played by Sinbad, who has quite a few cameos, and they're all like destruction of his property. The first cameo is where in school he's Dexter's teacher. He's like, why would he give us a test on the last day of school? Let me tell you why. The mind never sleeps. Can I get an amen? Yes, Dexter fell asleep. And so then they get in a car accident. And because Dexter doesn't have a license, and because he, insurance, even though he doesn't have insurance, but his mother's insurance would cover it, right? Dexter himself doesn't have insurance, but the car has to be insured, has to be insured by his mother's insurance, right? That's one of the things that's bugged me, is that he's like, oh, I gotta pay for Wheat's car and for his mom's car, and I'm like, okay, I get maybe she's making him pay for it, but his mom's insurance should have paid for the damages, and then he's just gotta pay her back. But they don't specify that. It just makes him seem like he's paying the damages completely for both cars, which, I'm sorry, but his mom has to have some kind of insurance on that car, as prized possession as it is. By the way, at this point, Jake decided to run off, which, that's a bit of a no-no, but we never see him again. So, who knows? And so this is part of the story too, this car accident and having to pay back Mr. Weed for the car, what pushes him to get a fast food job. He goes to the soon-to-be-opened Mondo burger, managed by Kurt, who is a tyrant, basically, and he won't take any joking. So after a few jokes, there's one joke I really like, where like, forget about your friends, forget about your family, because Kurt is now both your mother and your father. And Dexter leans over and goes, well, Kurt must look really strange and naked. Which, person next to him laughs, and then he gets in trouble. Because first, he has a hard time making the burgers, which isn't really his fault, because he tries to explain to them that there's the pickles and the burgers. The burgers are like oversized things, and it's hard for him to kind of figure out. But he does have a bit of a mess there. And so he gets fired, and he ends up drinking a bunch of Good Shakes, a Good Burger, and Ed actually gets him a job. Now, one thing I've always questioned is why it takes so long for him to realize that Ed was the one that caused the car accident. It's not until a little bit later in the film that this happens, and that he realizes this, and I'm just like, why did it take so long? I don't get it. As soon as you saw him, you should have recognized. I understand the car accident happened. It was real quick. Probably you couldn't, recognize him right away, but no. So, while closing up for the night, Kurt and his two stooges, one of them played by J. August Richards from Angel, walk in, and say that he's going to have the very last Mondo burger to go. And they do this joke, which, yes, it goes on for a little bit too long, but it's a joke where Kurt says, check it, boys. Right there in the back. It's the reject, or whatever they call him. And Dexter, pointed Dexter, of course. Dexter's like, oh, check it, Ed. It's the Mondo idiot. To which Ed, being an idiot, goes, well, hi, Mondo idiot, I'm Ed. Kurt says, well, Ed, you better watch your butt, man. So this is what Ed does. Spinning around for... Oh, hold on. Got dizzy. Spinning around for like the whole time that both Kurt and Dexter are going back and forth. And then Kurt leaves, and Ed stops and goes, I give up. There's no way a guy can watch his own butt. And then we get the thing where Ed comes out and he asks Dexter to hang out, but he's got roller skates on. And this is where Dexter realizes how he caused an accident, and he happens to run into Otis, played by Ed Vigoda, and that's where he get the line, somebody take me to the hospital, I think I broke my ass. And he's like, you caused my accident. You're the reason I have to work here. And he's all pissed. And then the next day, it's bloobity 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 that changes things, just fixes it. So at this point is where they discover the Ed sauce, because Mondo Burger has opened. They're making Mondo money, and Good Burger's not really getting any customers. So they find the Ed secret sauce, because Ed, has a secret sauce, and while he's trying to knock it onto his tray, or what have you, it goes in Dexter's face, and that's when he brings it to the attention of Mr. Bailey and everyone else. Mr. Bailey, of course, being played by Dan Schneider. And they decide to use that secret sauce and have Ed make it. And Mr. Bailey even says he's going to pay Ed. And this leads to one of the parts, well, I don't know if this is really the part or if it's it leads to the part I don't like about this film. Well, Dexter decides this is going to help him make more money. And to be honest, even Ed says this. It was Dexter's idea to use the Ed sauce, so he should get a part of the profits. Not as much as he's getting with this bogus contract of his. 50-50 at least. Maybe 60-40 with Ed getting the 60. But Dexter ends up making Ed sign because Ed can't read. He just signs away, and he can't read, but he can write. I don't know. I just realized that. But so Dexter gets most of his money. This leads to a plot point I don't like in certain films. The character gets found out he's a fraud. Shtick. So since Dexter has gotten there, he's been hitting on Monique, who's another worker, and she ignores him because she thinks he's a jerk. But then, as she sees him bond with Ed, and then Kurt sends over Carmen Electra. I'm sorry, Roxanne, you don't gotta put on a red light. Yes, they play a cover of the Police song Roxanne because the character's name is Roxanne. And she hits on Ed as an idiot, so he doesn't get it. It's stupid, but I used to laugh a lot, but not so much at this part. But so Ed decides to make it a double date with Dexter and Monique. Dexter makes the mistake of letting Monique keep his coat overnight, where she finds the contract. Now, she didn't search his pockets, it fell out. And this is one of the tropes of some of these movies I don't like. The whole, you are a jerk. I was right the whole time. You don't, you just, finding out. It's like a conflict just to have a conflict. But what bugs me more is it's not even resolved. Not really. By the end of the film, everyone's just hunky-dory. This plot point, well, the plot point with the contract is resolved, but the problems between Monique and Dexter are not solved on screen. So, because Kurt keeps trying to hound Ed into... There's a scene where Kurt gives Ed a ride to Good Burger. And during this, we get one of my favorite lines of dialogue in this film. I think it's hilarious. Where he goes, introduces himself. He goes, it's like, he's like, oh, you're the Mondo idiot. He's like, Kurt Boswell. And he's like, no, I'm Ed. He goes, well, Ed, how much does Good Burger pay you? And he says $10, or almost $5 an hour. Oh, $5 is good. How does $10 sound? $10. So he takes a $10 bill out of him, and he goes, sounds kind of like. That's only leading up to the dialogue. He was like, well, how about you make your sauce for Kurt? Who's Kurt? I'm Kurt. Well, I'm Ed. I'm aware. You said you were Kurt. I love that dialogue. I think it's funny as hell. And yeah, yeah. So Kurt drops Ed off, and Dexter is, curious, or it's a little iffy about this. And you can say he's looking out for his friend, but you can also say, oh, he's looking out for his money. Who knows at this point? There is a scene in which a dog comes, and Ed is sitting there, and he's trying to figure out what the difference between a Good Burger and a Mondo Burger is, and he can't figure out a difference. And so the dog comes up, and the dog is hungry, so he feeds him a Mondo Burger, and the dog won't eat it. So he feeds him a Good Burger, and he eats it. So they realize something is wrong with the Good Burgers. So they disguised as women. You know what? I'm kind of thirsty. Ooh, water. Ooh, water. Ooh, water. Ooh, water. Ooh, water. Eat water. 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 Ooh, water. Eat water. Water. Ooh, water. Water. Ooh, water. Ooh, water. 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 Ooh, water. Okay, that's better. You don't know. I was originally going to put... Hold on. I was originally going to bring the water in and set it over here. I forgot. So you get a prolonged scene of me doing that. Yeah, that's what they do. They use that as a distraction so that they can go spy on the workers, and they find out they're putting triamphethol, I think it's called, into the burgers to make them big and beefy. But triamphethol is basically a poison. And so, I want you to remember this. Poison is going to make all of his customers sick, and he doesn't care. Remember that. So, because these guys find out they're sent to Demented Hills, where we get some colorful characters. Linda Cardellini plays a crazy woman who let all the penguins out of the zoo, I think it is. I think it's penguins. Or kangaroos. One of the two. And then we get Mr. Scary Man. Mr. Mean Scary Man, who Ed makes friends with, of course. And then they're locked in and they need to find a way out. But then they get a friend joining them because Kurt and his two stooges break into Good Burger at night to dump shark poison in the Ed sauce. But, unbeknownst to them, Ed Vigora sleeps at the store, I guess. And he finds them dumping it in there. And it's shark poisoning. I think I mentioned that. He gets drawn to Demented Hills. So then, the next day, Dexter comes up with an idea. Well, Ed starts it by dancing to some George Clinton. She was a freak. She was a freak of the week. Yeah, she was a freak. And was it sweet? Yeah. George Clinton even shows up in the friggin' thing. There's another George Clinton song earlier in the film. Fries and that shake. Do you want fries with that shake? You know. Yeah, and he's kind of dancing. And Dexter uses this to his advantage and tricks the security guards to dancing before he and knocks them out, takes the keys, and goes to leave. I always found it weird that the crazy girl doesn't go with them. Wouldn't she want to get out too? But no, she just says goodbye to Ed. What happened is, I need to break out, and they go into a room where Mr. Mean Scary Man, I call him that because that's the only thing he's really called, is there. And of course, he and Ed are friends. So Dexter says, hey, Mr. Mean Scary Man, can you find a way to break the window? So he throws Dexter through the window, which he survives. And the other two, Ed jumps out and lands on Dexter. And then Otis, you don't have to tell me twice, jumps out. So, and Ed bumping into him broke his ass, according to him. But jumping out a window was fine. So they run away from the thing, and they steal an ice cream truck. And when I was younger, I always thought this ice cream man was Alan Hale Jr., the skipper from Gilligan's Island. But I think he was already dead at this point. But he looks a little like him until he turns around and starts talking. He's like, no, hey, my truck. I'm like, oh, no, that's not him. But they take the ice cream truck, and there's these orderlies following them in their truck. So Dexter comes up with another idea to throw the ice cream at the orderly's truck to, get in the way. And eventually they get to the Good Burger. And so Ed gets out first, and Dexter tells Ed, make sure nobody eats any of the good sauce. So, before this, we are leading up to this, this joke that's coming in, where these two old ladies come up to the desk and order 2 good burgers, 1 for each, with extra sauce. Well, the lady's like, I'll have one good burger, extra sauce. And the lady next to her goes, oh, that sounds delightful. I'll have the same. And this leads up, going back and forth a little bit, and then we see she goes to eat it. She's like, oh, poo, I wanted mustard. So she goes over. Why the other woman doesn't eat her burger, I don't know, because we never see this other lady eat the burger. If she did, well, she's probably dead now. But anyway, Ed comes in and goes, no, and tackles the old lady before she can eat it. And then Mr. Bailey's taking him off the old lady as Dexter walks in and goes, what happened? He goes, I tackled an old lady. He goes, all right, way to go. He said, someone tell me why that's a good thing. From Mr. Bailey. And he said, that they'll explain it later. Just don't let anyone eat the sauce. So they go to get proof. Now, so Dexter decides he's going to distract the Stooges and other various henchmen so that Ed can go get the triamphethol to take to the police. He leaves Ed in charge of getting the proof, the evidence that they need. Does that sound right to you? Of course not. Anyway, Holmes. Alright? So, it's going to be a long review. I didn't think it would be this long. But, it happens. So, Ed goes to get one of the bottles, and it falls in and starts to leak into the hamburger turner thing. And he starts dumping other ones in there, leaving cans laying in there, and he shows up on the roof with an empty can. He was supposed to go to the police, but you can kind of excuse him. Maybe he's not stupid. He went to Dexter because it's empty. And to say it's an empty can, he goes, it wasn't empty when I found it. And then, apparently, all the triamphethol in the meat is causing every meat to explode. including meat that couldn't have possibly been in that Turner at that time, but who knows. And so, like I said, Mr. Wheat has been going through some troubles throughout the film. During the ice cream chase, the orderly's truck smashes his, earlier in the film, when they're doing the delivery, Ed smashes his mailbox when they delivered the Good Burger to Shaq, and then he's like, "Hey, little man, all the tomatoes on this Good Burger. I don't see any tomatoes." And then he takes a tomato out of his pocket, puts it on there. "Consider yourself tomato. You're a strange little man." And yeah, that's the whole Shaq cameo. "Green egg and ham it." No. Anyway, Mr. Wheat is now putting he's got it fixed, he's putting it back, and the orderly smash it. And then, because of, Mr. Wheat pulls up in his new fixed car, right? And pulls up and he's ready to go to Mondo Burger, because that's where he's going to get his food, I guess. Why he's not sick already, I don't know, but as he's going to go in, the giant burger on top of the building falls off and lands upside down on his car. So, yeah, it gets smushed. There is also a scene where they're trying to break in, where they climb the cup and go down, and it's weird. It's kind of funny, but it's weird. And, so we get to the end of the film, and Kurt's going jail. 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 We get one last joke. Well, two last jokes, but this one, the one at the end is kind of funny, but this one is just kind of, if you think about it. It's a little funny, I guess, but Dexter rips up the contract, and he says, and Ed says, "Is it because I'm black?" He goes, "What? No. Not because I'm, oh, never mind." I'm just like, okay, that joke probably hasn't aged as good as you think it does, but there's also this thing with the phrase, the grinder, that Kurt has been saying throughout the film. "You go in the grinder." Okay, now this grinder of yours, is that a real grinder, or is that some sort of metaphor? And it's like, okay, again with this grinder. So this time it's Ed and Dexter, and they go, "Hey, you mess with Good Burger, you go in the grinder." And Ed for some reason thinks that Dexter's leaving, but he's not, because technically he's not done making his money, because he's still got to owe Mr. Wheat, even though his car is destroyed again. And then we get the last joke. Everybody's celebrating, they're going, "Ed, Ed, Ed, Ed." And each time they're going, "Ed, Ed." He goes, What? Come on, what? And they're like, "Come on, Ed, speech." "Well, there's only one thing left to say. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?" That's how the movie ends. It's actually how it begins, too. I forgot to mention, the beginning of the film actually has flying burgers, but it's Ed's dream, where he wakes up, his alarm's going off, and his response is, and this one always makes me laugh for some reason. He looks at it and he goes, "Whoa, a clock!" And then he takes a shower in his clothes. I don't know. I don't try to understand Ed. Anyway, I think this is a pretty good movie. It's one of my favorites. But I'm going to be justified in this. I'm going to be, completely fair. And I'm going to give it a 7. Because, it's not the best movie in the world. There are some flaws. It gets a 7. So what are you guys' thoughts on Good Burger? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.